What if I told you that one of the easiest ways to control you is to make you feel ashamed? Not fear, not anger, but shame. Because out of all human emotions, shame is one of the lowest energy states. It doesn't make you fight. It doesn't make you run. It freezes you. And when you're frozen, you become easy to control. Think about it. Have you ever stayed late at work, doing extra hours without pay, just because you didn't want to look lazy? Or kept quiet when someone compared you to others and made you feel like you weren't enough? Or bought something you didn't even like, just because you felt bad saying no? If any of that feels familiar, then this isn't random. It's a pattern. And more importantly, it's something people can use against you. Here's the uncomfortable truth. If you don't understand your shame, someone else will use it. They'll use it to pressure you, to manipulate you, to make you prioritize their needs over your own. And slowly, you become someone who is afraid to take up space, afraid to say no, afraid to exist fully as yourself. Now here's where things get deeper. According to researcher Brené Brown, there's a critical difference between guilt and shame. Guilt says, I did something bad. Shame says, I am bad. That one shift changes everything, because guilt can guide you, but shame attacks your identity. It doesn't just question your actions, it questions your worth. And when your worth feels unstable, you become easier to control. One psychologist, John Bradshaw, called this toxic shame. Not just a moment of embarrassment, but a deep belief that something is wrong with you. And the dangerous part is, this doesn't come from nowhere. It's learned from childhood, from school, from society, from repeated messages like, you should be better. You shouldn't act like that. What will people think? Over time, those voices become your own. So even when no one is judging you, you feel judged. Even when no one is criticizing you, you criticize yourself. You hesitate to ask for what you deserve. You avoid opportunities because you're afraid of failing publicly. You hold yourself back, not because you lack ability, but because you feel like you're not enough. And it goes even deeper. According to The Body Keeps the Score, shame doesn't just exist in your mind. It lives in your body, your nervous system. It creates tension, avoidance, a constant sense of being on guard. So when a situation triggers that old feeling, your body reacts before your logic does. You shut down, you stay quiet, you comply. Not because it makes sense, but because it feels safer. And here's another trap. From you are not so smart, something called the spotlight effect. You think everyone is watching you, judging you, noticing every mistake, but in reality, most people are too busy thinking about themselves. Yet your brain convinces you otherwise, and that illusion feeds your shame. Now here's the part most people never realize. Behind every moment you feel ashamed, someone benefits. Think about that. If you feel too ashamed to ask for a raise, your boss saves money. If you feel too ashamed to say no, others get more from you. If you feel too ashamed to speak up, you stay small. So next time you feel that emotion, ask yourself, who benefits from me feeling this way? Because a lot of what you call being nice is actually self-abandonment. You're not being kind. You're being controlled by an emotion you didn't choose. And once you see that clearly, everything starts to change. Solution 1. Awareness. The first step is awareness. Not every feeling of shame is truth. Sometimes, it's just programming, old rules, outdated expectations, things you absorbed before you were old enough to question them. So instead of immediately reacting, pause and ask, is this feeling valid or is it inherited? Solution 2. Boundaries. Second, stop trying to be a good person all the time. Instead, be a person with boundaries, because people who benefit from your shame will label your boundaries as selfish, but that doesn't make them wrong. It just means you're no longer easy to control. Solution 3, reframe shame. And here's where it gets interesting. Shame itself is not always the enemy. If used consciously, it can become a tool. For example, showing a bit of vulnerability can make others feel safe around you. It signals, I'm not a threat, and that can open doors, build trust, even influence people. Or when dealing with someone unreliable, you can subtly reinforce their identity in public. This person is responsible. They always keep their word. Now they feel pressure to live up to that image, not because you forced them, but because they don't want to lose face. That's the strategic use of social emotion. But here's the most important part. The moment you stop being controlled by shame, you become free. Because no one can manipulate someone who is not afraid of judgment. No one can control someone who doesn't feel inferior. You stop over-explaining. You stop over-giving. You stop shrinking yourself to make others comfortable. And for the first time, you start living on your own terms. Not perfectly, not flawlessly, but honestly. Because real confidence is not the absence of flaws. It's the absence of shame about them. If this made you see things differently, then you're already one step ahead. And if you want to understand your mind deeper, not just what you feel, but why, make sure to subscribe. Because the more you understand your mind, the harder it becomes for anyone to control it. I'll see you in the next one.